Story 1. I 22F feel uncomfortable with how close my boyfriend 22M is with his female cousins. Before we were even in a relationship, he has mentioned his family and relatives to me, and overall, he's close with almost any of them. He has quite a lot of cousins and he hangs out with them time to time, both females and males, but there are these two sisters that he is the closest with. He has mentioned them and sent me videos and photos of them together before we were in a relationship, as I said. It seems they are pretty close. I have seen him touching her hair in the videos he sent. She had a bun and a piece of her hair was out, so he was touching that kinda in a joking way. I don't mind that very much, but one of the small things, they do crazy shit together and they hanged out a lot before our relationship. Another time he told me he carried her to climb a wall and was telling me about the crazy things they did when he sent me the picture. It didn't look that bad, as she was mostly just putting one of her feet on his hand and his other hand slightly touching her back to have balance, but thinking about it, how did he carry her from the first place? Must have more physical touch. I get it, they are cousins, but in his culture as well, cousins can get married. He said it doesn't happen in his family and they are all like sisters and brothers. Fine. I was trying not to care much. Her sister is like 16 to 17, so it's kind of fine, but the other one is 24. The one I mentioned, he carried her and touched her hair as well in family meetings. They sit very close to each other. He has mentioned me to them, so it made it better, and since we have been in a relationship, they don't usually hang out like before. The only times was family meetings, and once they invited him their family for dinner. Another time she messages him to help their family with moving some of the things in the house. He sent me a message and them two were walking outside. It's because of SMTH fun he shared that included me, so he wanted me to hear. They kinda talked about me. Another time he said she would be coming. We were on video call because he borrowed some money from her, so she only gives her at the door and go. He said he will bring me on the call and let me say hi, but later he ended the call. It took him like an hour. He called me again and said she needed to park somewhere else, so it took longer, but that doesn't make sense. 1 hour. I fell asleep already and I just didn't feel good with hearing her name and that he was still with her. What made me the most uncomfortable was this last time. She and her sister asked him if he is joining for the celebration of their country's Independence Day. He went with them and was there the entire night. He sent some pictures and videos. I know she is only around 16, but it was weirdly a bit uncomfortable how close they were sitting in the picture. In another video I see him grabbing her hand and telling her to join the dance, but they ended up not doing that one because they did not know how to. It was a bunch of girls group dancing. It is their tradition where they all hold hands and dance. I try not to be dumb and feel bad over these stupid things, but just their existence annoys me at this point. He sent me a video one time of surprising her with a gift. The 16-year-old one, I'm trying to understand that he just sees them as sisters. But their relationship annoys me. With the one that is younger, I'm not much bothered about her, but the 24-year cousin, I just feel really uncomfortable even just hearing her name when he mentions. He mentions her a lot time to time. I once mentioned that I understand they are cousins, but there are some things that make me uncomfortable with when one time there was something on his face and her removing it for him. I was not there and just being physically touchy with each other, and considering their culture too, I can't see them the same as how I would feel if they were his sisters. He doesn't even do the same and being touchy the same way to his own sister. I feel more the brother and sister vibe with how he is with his own sister. As well, he do say love you to them whenever he says bye, which pretty much I guess might be the same with the other cousins. I haven't yet met them, but I told him if they are that touchy around me and act like that, it would make me even more uncomfortable. He said he gets it and they are not how it seems from what he mentioned, and that they are not that touchy. He said even he himself, if he knows she's being way too much, he would tell her to back off, and that it is weird. As I said, they haven't really being way too touchy or in an inappropriate way, but these slight things I've seen and heard. I can't help it, I just don't like it. And with the group of girls, just thinking he actually danced and held their hands makes me uncomfortable. I know I sound jealous, I try not to be, but I can't help it. I know the dance is just his tradition and he wanted to have some fun, but why choose the group of girls when there was a bunch of guys? And why is it necessary to grab her hand to tell her to join? And when he sent me the video, seemed like it was either cut out or filmed too late, but in the beginning you could see he was grabbing her hand and taking her to join. Immediately after they change their minds, so they back out, and that's when they're not holding hands. And they were all girls dancing. I just can't feel okay with it. As well, I noticed he was excited, SND dressed really well. I could tell it is because he was meeting them. Gosh, I know I sound crazy. I could never tell him how I feel. I don't want to sound like a crazy jealous bitch. I only once mentioned very calmly that I don't think I will be okay with them being touchy and all. He said he understands and respects that. But I only mentioned specifically the older girl. This last time in the video I mostly only saw him with the younger one being close. Just in general him hanging out with these two, especially the older one, because of what he has mentioned and how their relationship is. I just get a bad feeling, and only hearing her name makes me feel so bad. As well, to be more clear, it is not at all about if they look pretty or prettier than me, or if I feel worthless or anything to do with these at all. I'm very confident in me. In case anybody mentions looks, it has nothing to do with that, but just the entire friendship they have. As well, I love seeing him having fun, but I can't help not feeling okay with it. I just don't have a good feeling about her. As well, he mentioned once his ex too got very mad because he spent 4 days with her, that 24 years old cousin, and he was complaining and saying his ex was not reasonable as he was giving her time as well. But he missed his cousin and hasn't seen her in a long time, so that his ex should have been understanding because he already spent every day with her. I just feel like no girlfriend would feel completely at ease and okay with that cousin. She just gives a vibe and I don't trust. Story 2. Am I 24F crazy for not liking my BF's 26M stepmom after this? Is there something wrong with her? 24F have been with my boyfriend 26M for 2 years now. Our relationship has been completely at a distance and we only get to see each other maybe 4 times a year. During these 2 years, I've had 2 rough incidences with his stepmom, and I feel like I'm going crazy because my BF and his stepmom both claim that she doesn't mean any harm after each incident, but she ends up really hurting my feelings. First incident, I am on vacation with him and his family, his dad, his dad's brother, his stepmom, and himself of course. The vacation was very nice and I enjoyed myself very much. Until my boyfriend and his stepmom got into a huge argument. I was in another room listening to music, so I have no idea what the argument was about or what caused it. All I know is a couple hours later she pulls him into her room and they are talking things out. After nearly 45 minutes, I walk past her door to get to my room. I get changed, but I am able to hear a good portion of what she is saying. I hear her talking badly about me, him, our relationship, and how she wasn't comfortable with me being on the trip because I was a big change for her to deal with. The next day, instead of apologizing, she just said that she doesn't want her vacation to be ruined, and everyone needs to get over it. Second incident, I've had some unexpected major changes happen in my personal life, and because of those changes I had to cancel my trip to go see him recently. A day or 2 after I told him that I had to cancel the trip, I got a passive-aggressive message from his stepmom, saying she heard I can't make it and to not bother responding to her message. Very random, because before this we had normal conversations. After that text, she made a few posts about me on Instagram. One calling me a stalker because I screenshot her message and post and sent it to my BF. She made a total of 3 posts and deleted the stalker one eventually. Wish I could include pictures on this community. I'm leaving out a lot of details because I don't want to make this post any longer than it already is, but I'm very easygoing, kind of quiet, I'm kind of shy. I don't often have issues with people, especially adults, so the situation is very foreign to me. Am I crazy for not liking her because she makes me feel crazy? She plays the victim hard and says that she never spoke about me on the vacation, even though I could hear her behind the door. She says that the posts weren't about me, although they are very specific and clearly are about me. She says that the text message wasn't meant to be mean, but later admits in another text that she was frustrated and that's why she sent that passive-aggressive text in the first place. Extra info that might mean something. She's very needy and requires him to do a lot for her. For example, he packs her bags when she goes on trips, he makes her and his dad dinner almost every night, she is severely overweight so he helps her a lot with day-to-day tasks. He even checks the mails regularly for her and takes care of her 5 pets. The built-up frustration of him always doing things for her plus her negative naggy attitude may have caused the argument on vacation, but I really have no clue. TLDR, my boyfriend of 2 years has a stepmom who doesn't like me for some reason. She spoke badly about me on their family vacation and sent me a passive-aggressive text after I canceled my trip to see him because of financial issues. Could it be emotional incest? Jealousy? Am I crazy for not like her after these 2 incidents? Story 3. My 31FGF 31F was sexually abused for years by her brother and her family knows and is close with him. Girlfriend is close with family and in denial. We have been together several years and this issue has been blocked out of my mind because I really just don't know how to face it. Therapy has been suggested, however I really cannot afford it at the moment and truly want advice for now, which a therapist will usually not offer. I have processed this with a couple trusted people who have remained neutral and non-judgmental on the situation. I am really just looking for honest advice and opinions from strangers in addition to any professional advice I may one day receive. I really love my girlfriend and respect the internal work she has done to heal from this horrible trauma. She has become very successful and overcome many obstacles in addition to this one. I am posting mainly because while I can never truly understand or know how I would act or feel in her shoes, I do question her judgment overall with the fact that she has chosen to be close with and have a relationship with members of her family who I feel have handled things in the worst possible way. This fact continues to haunt me selfishly more than the actual actions of her family or abuser. For many years during her childhood and young adolescence, my girlfriend was sexually abused and raped daily by her teenage brother. She was also mentally abused to believe she could not say anything to anyone about it. When she got older, she finally did tell someone, who made the situation known to her family, and they were able to somehow stop it from happening. Though her brother continued to live with her and her parents, he faced no severe consequences, and she was told by her parents not to tell many people to avoid bringing attention to the family and definitely not get the law involved. Eventually, the rest of the family did find out, but there was no major tension between anyone that I am aware of, and I believe a lot of excuses were made and the situation was minimized by her mother. I cannot comprehend how the people in her family managed to accept him as part of the family still. Fast forward, my girlfriend has moved across the country, where she met me. Her brother is back home where her parents live, is in a serious relationship, has 3 children, and evidently has a normal relationship with the rest of the family where holidays are spent together, vacations, etc. My girlfriend's mother justifies this to my girlfriend by saying it is to maintain a relationship with her grandchildren. However, the story doesn't add up because it seems like they have had a relationship all along. His girlfriend, who he has kids with, has never been told about the abuse. I am assuming there is some kind of request to keep things covered up. He has been employed by her parents since he graduated high school. The rest of the family is close with him. My girlfriend was manipulated by her mother to not say anything because his children will be taken away and the family will no longer get to have a relationship with them if she ever found out. They need a father, and he is changed. My girlfriend doesn't believe he is changed, but does what her mother wants. My girlfriend is the only family member that hasn't seen or spoken to him in many years and does separate holiday celebrations with her family. Her parents have validated that this is a horrible, fucked up thing to have happened to her. However, I cannot wrap my head around the fact that he has not been kicked out of the family. I had a conversation with her mother once about it, and she told me how horrible it was, but she just didn't know what to do and couldn't imagine abandoning one of her children despite what happened. I believe it is incredibly disrespectful and disgusting to continually ask a victim/survivor of such horrific abuse to keep quiet to protect her perpetrator. I have expressed this to my girlfriend in a very gentle way, at the right time, and she agreed. However, her feelings and behavior towards her family has not changed overall. I know it is not mine to control, but it just makes me sick. It seems as though she will have moments of waking up and talking about how she can't believe her family can do this, but then quickly gets back into a place of loving and admiring her mother especially. She talks often about how her mother wasn't a great mom and wasn't around enough to keep her safe, but she is so grateful she has changed and how they get to have a wonderful relationship now. All I see is a mother who still constantly speaks to her daughter about how horrible other family members are, especially her dad, who, for what it's worth, does seem to actually hold a grudge against the brother to distract from the fact that she has hurt and betrayed her daughter so deeply. I don't want to be the one to push her over the edge and take away the only person in her family she really loves. And that ignorance is bliss, but I feel she deserves so much better and her family deserves to lose the only quality family member they have. In addition to all of this, I have not told any of this to my own family as I feel it would taint their entire view of my girlfriend, her family, and possibly me. I have an open and honest relationship with them other than this one thing, and I feel like I am living a lie. Her mother often stays with us and I truly hate her for this, but come up with other petty reasons to talk to people about why I dislike her when she stays with us. Edit for some extra context. Not sure why I didn't include this, but my girlfriend has sought therapy for many years and is still in therapy. She is actually pursuing a doctorate in psychology. This is something she is in such denial about she just hasn't been willing/able/ready to address in an action-based way. The more I think about it, the more deep resentment I hold towards my girlfriend because she has come to these realizations before, is educated in psychology. And I know would be upset if I spoke negatively about her mother. However, to leave her over this would be very painful. knowing she is the one that I truly believe she is the only one in her family that has a strong moral compass, and I do really love her. Story 4. I 27F don't know how to get him 30M to understand that he can't keep talking to the girl he tried to get back at me with. How do I get him to understand? My boyfriend 30M, I 27F have known each other for 2+ years. We were 27 going on 28 and 24 going on 25 when we met, and only been dating officially for about 6 months. But it didn't take very long for us to get comfortable with each other and start spending all our time together when we first met. However, we both made it clear we weren't ready for a romantic relationship, so it was strictly a physical relationship initially. He was adamant about not being ready. Always happily told girls he was flirting with that he was very single. I had someone else as what I call my OD or orgasm donor, which is what people would typically call a FVCK buddy, and I kinda ditched him for my now boyfriend. There was a time, 2 years ago, when his now BF female friend came into the country and was apparently stranded, so she needed a place to stay until she could find suitable accommodation for herself. I was at his place that day. We basically started living together for 3 months and some change. Soon after, we started spending all our time together. He pretty much rushed me out before she would arrive and find me there, his words. I was upset about how it played out and was convinced that there must have been something between them. But he claims there never was, and the girl also told me the same thing when he made us have a conversation, so I went to stay with my girls for a few days. Hurting and overthinking all the shxt they could have been getting up to behind my back, I went back to my old OD and spent a couple nights with him, cause I had made up my mind that I was done with my now boyfriend. He eventually got her out about a week and some change later, and came to my girl's place to reconcile and convince me to come back. I'll admit, he called and texted me every day trying to explain that he was just trying to help, etc. Fast forward some weeks or a month later, I forgave him and went back to him. I only told him about my old OD that I went back to for 2 nights about a year later, cause by then I figured we were heading down the serious road. According to him, I cheated on him even though we weren't together, and he made it clear he didn't want to be in a relationship. So based on this information he received, he started talking to this girl, and she was sending him provocative media, including nudes, full-on videos of her playing with her pussy and coming, etc., which he saved. After I found out, he apologized and said he was mad about what I told him and he made a wrong decision/mistake. It won't happen again. Yet somehow he thinks it's okay to keep talking to this girl because they didn't have sex. It was only virtual, and they even have a Snapchat streak still going on 4 months now, and they're always saving each other's streaks back and forth while I'm not allowed to talk to my old OD. I just want other opinions on this. I don't mind being told if I'm in the wrong and I should just let it go, but I need to know I'm not crazy. TLDR, my current boyfriend used to be my friend with benefits and thinks it's okay to keep talking to the girl who was sending him nudes 3 to 4 months ago that I found out about. Because according to him it was just virtual and it's not like they had sex, in retaliation for me telling him I had sex with my old FWB before we became official. He still has a 90-day Snapchat streak with her. Story 5. AITA for wanting to break up with my girlfriend because of her relationship with her brother? I 23M have been dating my girlfriend for just over 3 years now. We're both the same age, and I genuinely did love this girl. In the first few months of dating, she told me about how she was sexually abused for about 4 years from her brother. He was 13 to 14 when it first started, and she was like 8? She argues he's just a kid, but as a man, I knew right and wrong by that age. When I met her and told me about it, she went full no contact with the brother and worked through therapy to help with the situation. It has been since July this year where my girlfriend wanted to rekindle her relationship with her brother. I feel uncomfortable with it all because the way she came out to me and my stance on rapists. She begins to become more distant, intimacy maybe once a month. And now she has made the ultimatum of, if I want to continue with this relationship, I have to accept her brother and go to family events, etc. with him there. Before it was just her mother, half siblings with same sperm donor dad. I personally don't ever want to meet the person, and I still am fine with her going to family occasions with him there. It's just I couldn't handle it. I want to beat the guy. And now it seems like our relationship is coming to an end, and she's telling me how awful I have been for her recovery. But in my eyes, I don't think the victim should be telling the abuser things will get better and that she loves him, and I actually got disgusted by this. She says she's told her friends and parents and they're on her side, but I argue, they don't know that it was a span of 4 years, not just a one-time accident, where I can see that is more understanding. And I ask her, do you think your brother has told his girlfriend what he did? So I have to be forced into a relationship knowing what type of person this guy is. I'm upset about the relationship ending, but I also want kids. She's iffy about it, but I'm more iffy of having kids with her brother involved in the picture. Lastly, my girlfriend is trying to get everyone agree to her side and make me seem like an awful person when my view is out of love and me not being comfortable with meeting the person is because he hurt her. Story 6. My boyfriend 22M broke up with me 23F. How do I deal with so many emotions all together? So here's what happened. My boyfriend and I got into a relationship back in 2019. He was adorable. He was amazing, charming, cute little guy who was so full of love and energy. He had a huge crush before us being in a relationship with a girl who didn't really give a shit about him but rather used him. I helped him get out of it, and that's how we became close. Fast forward to 2020, his mom died during COVID and he as a person completely changed. I don't blame him. Losing a mother was an absolute devastation. He was absolutely messed up in his head. No matter what I did, never worked. He started hitting me whenever he wanted. I always wanted to understand his situation, so I always let it go. Even though it was an absolute no for me. He would verbally abuse me and then say sorry as if he really didn't mean to do it. This continued till 2023. 2 months ago, he decided to break up with me. There was no reason. He just didn't want me anymore. I begged and begged for him to stay to let me know the reason. But he didn't. The very next day I saw him go out with the same girl he liked 4 years back and I was shattered. He went out with her, spent the night with her, and I never knew this until people next to his flat told me. After being there for him through everything, after understanding his every situation, being there for him no matter what, he did this to me. The last time I tried talking to him, he hit me in the middle of the street and left me there. Alone. Crying. That was it. I decided not to go back to him ever again. The same night he left me on the street, he came back to me begging me to come back. Why? I simply said no. I was done with it. Even though I would always go back to him in an instant, I don't want to. I have stopped too low for him. Here I am. With my hair cut short, which was right up to my waist. Working out since the day we broke up. Trying to improve myself. But still crying for him every day. I always look at him and my first instinct would be to run to him and hug him so hard and cry. And I wish he would caress my hair the same way he used to say it would be okay. But I know it isn't. I don't know how to deal with all these feelings. Every day is a challenge. Every day is tiring. Every day, no matter what I do, I still want to turn back time and be next to him when things were all right. I love him, even now. But I don't want to. Story 7. Ada for kicking my sister out for trying to break me up with my boyfriend because she likes him? Turns out a few of you guys were right and she gave most of the family a made-up story. She told the rest of the family except my parents, since they knew the real story from the start, and her friends, that when she moved in I was a complete jerk. I made her do all the chores, cook every day, yelled at her all the time and tried to make her feel insecure about herself, but she didn't because girl boss and whatnot. She also said how my boyfriend was not happy in his relationship with me and basically made me look like some demon who came out from Satan's booty hole. I was able to slap some sense into a few of the more open-minded people with the help of my boyfriend to give them the real story. Most of them didn't even apologize and just stopped bothering me. I was able to get in contact with one of my sister's friends to ask about my sister's reason of the whole breakup thing. Turns out the reason my sister and her ex broke up was because she was supposed to take care of her ex's dog but instead sold the dog because she didn't want to take care of it while he was away. She wasn't even sad that they broke up, she was upset because she wasn't allowed to keep the house and all the stuff inside that wasn't even hers. I don't know why she even thought that she'd be allowed to keep it after selling the guy's dog. The texts from my family did calm down from a few, but my parents and sister continue spamming me with trash talk. It got to a point that the day after I made the first post, I got a threat letter of my sister, saying how I must break up with my boyfriend or else she'll destroy my reputation and everything I have, and also decided to be petty and write how she'll stab me. Unfortunately for her, when the letter came in I was out grocery shopping, but my boyfriend was home with his family, who was over for dinner, and angering a family of 2 parents who have 9 kids, 5 adults and 4 teenagers is not a pretty sight as my boyfriend described it. My boyfriend's mother called my mother and started asking about the letter my sister sent. My mother denied it and said that my sister didn't do anything of that sort. My boyfriend's mother wanted to say more, but my mother hanged up on her. After we cooked and had dinner, my boyfriend's father suggested that they'd stay over in case my parents or sister tried to disturb us again. My boyfriend and I agreed to this and we set up a few spare rooms for them since we do have a pretty big house. I did call the police for the threat letter and they said they'd look into it. After that, we simply went to bed. The next day, we did hear loud banging on the front door, with my sister screaming to be let in. One of my boyfriend's brothers opened the door and my mom and dad walked right in and demanded of me to talk to them alone, but my boyfriend's parents cut them off and tried telling them that my sister is out of line and they needed to respect that they crossed many boundaries. Both my parents and my boyfriend's parents then got into a heated arguments. And what did my sister do? She tried to get closer to my boyfriend while the argument was occurring. My boyfriend then started shouting at her, calling her a psychopath and that she's annoying. My parents then started yelling at my boyfriend that it's no big deal and that's just how girls act around their crush. I did get fed up and told my parents and sister that they need to leave before I call the police. They refused and my mom seriously said you should be a good brother and make your sister happy. Let her go on one date with your boyfriend and we'll leave. How else will they know if they click or not? You're basically ruining your sister's love life by being so selfish. My boyfriend and his siblings all immediately shut her up and torn her up for saying such stuff. My sister then started crying and tried to go to my boyfriend for a hug. One of my boyfriend's sisters slapped her and said how she should be ashamed of herself for trying to get to a gay taken man. My sister seemed to have lost it and tried to lunge at me while screaming how much she hates me. She shoved me onto the ground and grabbed a kinfy from her pocket and stabbed me. It was obviously she tried to go for my throat but instead went to my shoulder. My boyfriend yanked her off me and he and his siblings started to gang up on her. My boyfriend's mother helped me up and treated the stab wound with whatever we had as it was bleeding quite a lot and pretty deep and she's a nurse. My boyfriend's father called the police. My parents tried to take my sister and leave, but my boyfriend and his siblings kept them in place until the police arrived. Once the police got there, my parents and sister got arrested and I got sent to the hospital because the bleeding wouldn't stop. I got a few stitches on my shoulder now and it's a bit difficult to move with my left arm. When my sister got questioned by the police, her smartass kept shouting threats and that she meant to slice my throat, not my shoulder. WTF. For some reason she also kept crying out my boyfriend's name, as if he's gonna defend her or help her. My sister got sent to jail and my parents got a restraining order. But due to their actions, my little brother, 8, got taken out of their house and put into my care. 3 of my boyfriend's siblings are currently staying over, because they think my parents might come back and try to take my little brother away or hurt me. For 2 days it has been peaceful. Maybe some other family members will come by or my sister's friends will try something, but right now I'm safe. My boyfriend, his sister and my little brother are currently hanging out playing some video games. He's planning on taking my brother to a zoo since my little brother loves animals and never went to one. I'll update if anything else will happen.